Do I have any suggestions, especially for the future, of how we can best take care of the earth and each other? Yes, right. Start taking care of the earth and each other today. Good. That's all you can do. We make the future starting now. Okay? So all you can do is what you do today. And when another day comes, you do everything that you can do that day. Future is not fixed. In Hawaiian, traditional Hawaiian concept, based on the language structure, it doesn't exist yet. We start making it now. And so what we do today then has a significance. How we think, how we act, how we behave, how we expect is what influences the future. Doesn't control it, influences it. We can influence, and the reason we can't control it is there's just way too many other influences. But we can have an influence. Just like you can take a boat out on the ocean. You can't control those waves, but boy, you can control the sail and get pretty much where you want to go when you want to be there. Not always, not exactly, but you do have that much control. Okay? So that's how we are in relation to the future. It's this big sea that we haven't even crossed yet. So we start today. The first principle of Huna says that the world is what you think it is, so that there are many, many ways to think about the world. And there are many, many ways to think about the future. When you're asking me, I'm coming from what I know of my tradition and Hawaiian culture. Okay? And I can only speak for a part of Hawaiian culture, the part I know. But that's where my answers come from. Okay? I'm familiar with a lot of other different systems, and so I could shift into them and speak from their point of view too if I wanted to. But mostly what this is about is Huna and Hawaiian culture and healing and all of that. So, from this point of view that I'm coming from, there isn't any future out there yet. When anybody is looking into the future, all they're doing is creating a dream, their dream of the future, and talking to people about that. Because we can get a dozen different really good psychics, and we're going to ask them to look into the future. We're going to get a dozen really different futures, because everybody's dreaming their own dream about the future. That's all it is. The future is a fantasy right now, and somebody can say, and they can be convinced that they've seen what's actually going to happen. That doesn't mean that's true. That means they believe it's true. That's a whole different thing. The only way you're going to know how accurate their dream is of the potential is when it happens. Now, if you project it far enough ahead, you got no worries because nobody's ever going to know. Okay? So you can say virtually anything you want. Okay? But that's coming from this point of view. Anything outside the present moment, and the present moment is your present area of awareness, which doesn't mean that it's a particular minute or 5 or hour or day. It depends on how expanded your current awareness is. Right? And at any rate, anything outside of that is fantasy for the future. And anything outside of that for the past is nothing but memory, which exists now. And people can say anything they want about memory too. Right? So yeah, people have their different ideas, and they've had visions or experiences, and they've interpreted them in particular ways. I'm just saying I interpret all visions of the future as visions of a possible future or visions of that person's interpretation. Yeah. So, just so you know where I'm coming from.